Welcome to Bandit's Keep Actual Play. I'm Daniel. In this episode, we're going to conclude the battle of the Black Hounds versus the Goblins. It's been interesting so far. If you haven't caught the last episode, you might want to check that out first, though you don't need to for sure. And we will see how this battle ends, if the humans are victorious or if the goblins drive them back. Because otherwise they're going to be exhausted. These guys, they can't charge because they're here, but they can. Those are medium horses, and that's pretty darn good. So what they're going to do, because they also can't be charged if they're on the hill. They can get surrounded, though. So you know what? They're going to turn. They're going to make a half turn. 90 degrees, which is half their movement. I think a medium horse is 18. That's probably where I was getting that from. Well, it's a horse, so it's not half. It's a quarter of their movement. So quarter of 18 is about 2. No, quarter of 18 is about 5. 4, we'll say. And I mean, it gives these them, 16 more. Actually, you know what? They can actually get these guys. Because they're going to go like this. I think. Boom. That's 8. So they used a quarter, which is basically 4. So that's 12. And then they're going to use another quarter, which is another 4, which is 16, to turn this way. And then they'd have 2 more. No, they can't do it. I'm going to stop there. Okay. And they moved again. Because these guys can't charge them anyways, because they don't. Actually, they might be able to. They can't all charge. Only one group would be able to. So it's not that devastating if they charge them. You know what? They're not going to do that. That would be stupid. They're going to go. They don't want to be charged. So they're going to actually move. They're going to actually go after the Goblin King. So let's start again. They use 2. And then they've got 16 left. Yep, so they're going to go here. And then they're going to stop. Cool. Archers cannot shoot into melees, but they do have a 45-degree arc. They could turn. The archers are going to reform. I think they want to try to get the most amount of shooting as they can. This is not a melee here, actually, though. So they're going to, this group here is, well, they're part of a unit. So they're going to basically turn like this, which means they're only going to get 1 shot. But I feel like that makes it worthwhile. These guys are not part of the melee, neither are these guys. They're going to shoot. Let's see, this was Goblin Group 2. These guys have lost 4. They're the ones that are engaging. Okay, so Goblin Group. These guys actually left the board. Yeah, these guys left the board. So these guys here made them morale. Yeah, they're going to shoot at these guys when the time comes. These light guys are going to rest. And I think that's everybody. Everybody's moved. So now we're going to go into the missile fire phase. These guys, again, 2 groups of archers are going to get to shoot, which we've already established. 9 and 9 is, I'm going to roll 2d6. 2. So the 2 lower numbers, which is 4 each. So they're going to lose 8 of this unit. This unit right here is part of here. They've lost. Actually, they ran. So this is the first they've lost here. These guys are gone. Yeah, they've lost 8. All right. So 8 does not bring them anywhere near where they need to make a morale check. So that's the end of that. Missile fire phase ends. Now we go into melees. So I think there's only one melee here, which is our superhero versus the goblins. Now, this group of goblins attacks as heavy foot, and there are 10 in the first rank. So that's 10 heavy foot. They are attacking a heavy horseman. Now, the thing is, it takes 8 consecutive 8 simultaneous hits to kill a superhero. So it's not even possible, I don't think, for them to kill them, but let me just show you. what we have sitting in front of us. They made a mistake here, probably. Heavy foot versus heavy horse, 1 die per 4 men. They're going to get to roll 2 dice. Because only the front rank fights, right? They're in 6 kills. They need to hit 8 hits to kill him, so he's unkillable by them. He, on the other hand, is right there in front of them, and this is the first round of engagement, so he doesn't have a problem with the... Later, if he doesn't move, we'll talk about a horse staying still. But he is rolling heavy horse against light foot, because that's what they defend as. 4 dice per man, 5 or 6 hits. He is 8 men. So, 8 times 4 is 32. Our superhero is about to roll 32 dice. 5s and 6s equal hits. So, 32 dice. 32 is 8 times 4, I believe. So we're going to roll 4 times 8 dice. This just goes to show you how powerful an 8th level fighter is. So 4 times 8 dice. Here we go. 5s and 6s are kills. 3 kills. That's once. 2 more kills. That's twice. One, 2, 3, 4 more kills. Okay, and 1 more time. If he rolls really good here, he might actually cause them issues. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have lost 14 of their men in that attack. Now, this group had already lost 10. So they are now, 14. So, you probably can't see I'm writing down a piece of paper there. So they've lost 24 altogether, which is more than 33%. So before we do anything else, they're going to have to make a morale check. 2d6, 7 or better. 7, they make it. Okay. Now we get into the math. So that has happened. Now we're going to go into the instability due to excess casualties. Now I want to make a point of saying that a superhero, as we read this, well, a hero, and a superhero is just like a hero plus, need never check morale. So in other words, they cannot be pushed back now. We're only going to check one side of this, basically. Effectively meaning that if the superhero loses this check right here, they won't take the effects of it. They basically are immune to it. But let's do the math and see what happens. So when we are doing post-melee morale, oh, and by the way, he's now moved and... Actually, he didn't move that turn. But he did melee. So I think he might actually drop down. But let's just see what happens for a second here. This part of the... I actually talked about this a little bit, like converting it into a more simple system. But this part here is where we get to do a little bit of math. So, number 1. The first thing we do, he didn't lose anything on his side. The side with the fewer casualties determines the positive difference between their losses, so 14, and the enemy. The number is then multiplied by the score of a d6. 6. So 6 times 14. Okay. The side with the greater number of surviving troops, which would be the goblins, which were involved in the melee, determines the positive difference. Now, the fact of the matter is that only 10 of them were involved, so they actually all died. So that's not 100% true, but let's just say we'll just count them. So they look at the positive difference between that and the enemy. So there's actually 16 of them left. So minus 1, so 15. So that number is 15. So 15 for the goblins. Each side now multiplies their surviving figures, separating by more than one type by the thing. So these guys are basically light foot or levies or heavy foot. Okay, we'll go half and half because they're basically somewhere in the middle. So they are basically half of them. So there's 14 of them left. No, there's 16 of them left. So we'll say 8 times 4. And then we'll say 8 times 5. Okay. The superhero is worth, he only multiplies it by 1. But his superhero is worth 40. So he gets 40. Okay, and then we basically compute all this out and figure out the difference. So he is 6 times 14. That's 6, that's 84, that's 124. They are 8 times 4, which is 32, and 8 times 5, which is 40, so that's 72 plus 15 is 87. That gives us a difference of 27. Is that right? No, 37. 20 to 39 difference, back 2 moves in good order. So basically, oh no, back half move in good order. So basically these guys have to move back. They're not backs to troops, they just move back. Now since I'm just going to put them on the other side of the water, even though that should take a full move, but they're basically going to move back here. So they have retreated because of that. They didn't go off the board, but they retreated. So he is no longer engaged in melee with them. However, he has moved twice and fought a melee. So let me actually just check. And these guys also have moved. They had 2 already and then fought a melee. So they also have the same situation. So let me look at my fatigue. 2, okay, nope, they're still good. 1 turn, okay, so neither one is completely, but they've got 4. I'm gonna use the fire for that. They're 1 away from that. As is he. Okay. And again, he's not touching them. All right, I think that's all the melees. Yep, so that's all the melees, and we're basically now sitting here looking at our, I think we're in turn 3 or 4. Okay. Oops. Let's roll initiative. Good guys win. And actually that's good because the hero he needs to rest. So he's actually going to pull back. So again, he can turn about face. That does take a full move, but because we're on a horse, it'll only take half his move. And his move is, on a horse, his move is 18. So he's going to be able to move back 9. So he's going to turn back. He's going to go back 9. Like that. He is now exhausted, but he's going to stop next round. So hopefully these guys aren't going to be able to get to him. Maybe they are, and that could be bad. But they're going to have to make a morale check because they're within his charging range. So that's exactly what they're going to do. So we're going to make that morale check as if there's excess casualties. Well, actually, it's only if he moves within their range, within his charging range. So actually, he moved within the charging range of these guys. He's moving away from them, so I won't force that. So let's make a couple morale checks here. 1, 2, 3. First group, again, 7 or better. They make it. They make it. They make it. Okay, nobody's running because of him at this moment. That's those guys. These guys are getting weakened down here, so I think I might bring my light troops in. Actually, they'll pepper them with arrows if they can. So I'm not going to do that. These guys aren't going to move. They're just going to sit here and pepper these guys with arrows, hoping for the best. And actually, because they're not going to move. Boop. Now, these guys, on the other hand, they are going to do an about face, which takes a full move, because they're going to start heading back. These guys are fully rested. So they are going to, and they're facing that way. You know what they're going to do? They're just going to do an about face, which takes half a move, because, again, they are on a horse. And their move as a light horse is 24. So they can actually go 12 more. The heal... Oh, okay. I had a technical difficulty, guys. And I didn't realize that the recorder had got bumped and stopped. So a few things have happened. Just to follow up, I think I was talking about these guys. They're going to stay where they are because they're waiting for these guys to regroup, which they did. They are resting, basically. These goblins turned and came forward. I don't think that happened before I lost contact. The archers shot into these groups. Actually, the archers shot into the group that was over here, routing them off the board. This group of horses here that you can see is now retreated, swung up and tried to do a rear attack on these guys, but then were flanked by these guys. They lost a couple of horses, but they basically, more importantly, they got pushed back because of a retreat. So they're actually retreated right now, so they're not going to be able to do anything next turn, which is fine because they're also exhausted. So they're going to have to just take a turn to do that. Now that does put them in a position where these guys might make a move on them, so we'll see what happens there. But other than that, all the melees have happened. If I miss something, then I guess we'll figure it out as we go. But basically, here we are in turn like 5 or something like that, and we're getting ready to figure out what happens next. So we're going to start with initiative. All right, heroes win. This is good. Now, he's exhausted. He does not want to move or do anything. So he's just going to stay here. He is somewhat at risk because these guys can move up on him, but I don't think they have enough movement to really get to him. So we'll see, but he won't be exhausted when they get there if he does. So they're going to choose to go first, and he's going to rest. So he's good to go. These guys are actually going to move because they've been only getting partial of what they want to get because of their formation. So they're actually going to switch to a line formation so they can that's half their movement, and then they're still only going to get to fire once, but it's worth it. Now that they've done that, we're going to go back there. These guys are going to come around and try to lend some assistance because now the battle's getting a little bit more closer. So these are my light foot. They can move 9. For now, they're just going to go straight to here. So they're going to be blocked currently, which is good because they don't want to get hit. But they're going to join the fray if need be. These guys are now both rested. They're going to make their assault here. Mostly because they want to lock this guy in. They don't want him coming down on their buddy there. So they've got 18 normal move. They're going to lose like a couple centimeters up there, but they have plenty of movement to come up onto this hill. These guys are actually going to be able to do the same. Again, they can't charge uphill, but they're going to come this way, and they're actually going to come in and flank them. These are my medium horses. Okay. Both of these guys have moved. The Goblin King has been waiting here for his opportunity. We will see if the wait was worth it for them. And these guys are going to reform. If they sit there, they'll be able to reform in good order, which is what they're going to do right now. I believe it doesn't say fatigue is relieved if they spend a turn basically just doing nothing, but they're reforming. So, well, it says non-movement. Let me just quickly look at the retreat. Troops forced back a retreater with backs to the enemy must remain unmoved, okay, on the following turn while they rally. If they get attacked, there's problems. Okay, so no, they're unmoved, so I'm going to say that they will now lose this exhaustion. All right. Now the goblins get to move. These guys are facing the wrong way to really do anything against these guys, but these guys are not. They're actually going to move forward, and they have a 9 movement. So they're actually going to move. Oh, they can't quite get there. Oh, they can if they charge. What's the goblins' charge? It's the first time we've used charged in a while. Like this, anyways. Goblins' charge is 9. Okay. And they're across smooth ground. So, charge. A charge move is permitted only when melee contact is expected during some portion. Oh, and charge move is 9. Oh, is their move only 6? I think I'm moving them 9 all this long. Their move is only 6. So they actually can't get there even if they charge. So they're just going to move forward 6. So they're going to move forward 6. Which will add another. Because they know they're going to get shot at anyways. So no matter where they are. These guys are facing that way, and they got a lot of. They're just going to rest. Because if they do anything, they're going to be fatigued. So they're actually just going to rest. And these guys also have 4. If they move 1 more, they're going to be fatigued. So as much as and they can't get there. So as much as they'd like to, I think it makes more sense for them to rest. Okay. These guys probably should have rested as well, but they didn't, so it is what it is. That's the end of the movement phase. Now we get into missile fire. He didn't move, so he doesn't have fatigue, but he can actually shoot, but he's facing the wrong way to shoot these guys. He can shoot these guys, though, and he might just do that. So, number one, let's handle this. We have three groups of archers shooting, 9, 9, and 8. So, looking back at our thing, between 9 and 10 is basically the 4 or the 5, or it's 3 or 4 between. So I'm going to do this. The 2 9s are the white dice, the black is the 8. Oh, okay, they all scored maximum. So that is a total of 14 kills against this group right here, who were only down 5. So that moves them down to 19 down, which actually is enough to trigger a morale check. So 2 dice, they've got to get 7 or better, or they retreat off the board. They do not. Oh, you know what? I've been adding this to the wrong one. They actually were down 8. So it's the same thing happens. I put it on the wrong one. So 8 plus 14 is so maybe 22. And they retreat off the board. Because those are Goblin 1. So it's Goblin 3 over here that the superhero is about to shoot at. They've only lost 5. Again, he counts as 8. So he rolls 1 die. And if he gets a, well, we'll deal with it. He got 2, so they lose 3. So they've now lost 8, which is not enough, again, to trigger a morale check. So they're good. That's most of the troops are there. And they don't have missile weapons, so that's the end of that. Now we go into melee. So the only melees that we have going on is right here, and this is pretty bad for the Goblin King. I'll do the first one first, which is light horses. These guys are armored foot. So they are a light horse against armored foot. They don't get any bonus or anything because they're not charging because they're going uphill. I don't think a hill gives you any kind of benefit. Let me just quickly look. I know you can't charge up hills. Hill. Slows movement 3%, but movement downhill is normal speed. Okay, so that's it. They don't give any kind of bonus or penalty for being on the hill, as far as I can tell. So, light horse. Let's look at our chart in the back. And again, this group of horses is the one with 8. So there's 8 light horse against armored foot. No, they defend as heavy foot, but they attack as armored. Against heavy foot, light horse, heavy foot, 2 dice per man, 6 kills. Okay, so 2 dice per man, which is basically 16 dice. So these are 4, okay, so there's 8. So I'm going to roll this twice. Any 6s are kills. 1 kill. Okay, now, our hero, though, is a heavy horse. Heavy horse against heavy foot is 3 dice per man, 5 or 6 kills. So he needs to roll 12 dice now. So again, I'll roll 6 twice. And in this case, 5 or 6s are kills. 1, 2. And I'm doing it twice. And 3 more. That's 7 total. Okay. Out of the 18 of them, that's a third. But they are armored foot. Let's see. Elite foot, armored foot, casualty check at 33%. Is 7 33%? It is actually 38%. So that will trigger a morale check. Now, do they get a bonus to their morale with the Goblin King being there? Let's see. No. Let me check in. I checked in Chainmail. Let's check also in D&D to make sure there's not a change there, to see if the Goblin King gives them any kind of a morale boost. Does not. Okay. So they're going to have to make a morale check based on that first attack. They must score 6 or better on 2 dice, or they will fail morale and retreat. They fail, and they are going to retreat off the board. So the Goblin King Now, he can't retreat yet because I'm going to do all melees simultaneous. So he is going to retreat off the board. I probably should have waited for that. But let's do this other side first. These guys are medium horse, and they are attacking from the flank, which means they up 1 level. So they count as heavy horse. Now, the group of medium horse is 11, so I'm going to say 10. They can run, well, you know, they can be a wide line because they're attacking a large group of people. All right, so there's 11 of them. 11 medium horse, so 11 heavy horse against, I'm looking at my book here. Heavy horse against armored, heavy foot is 3 dice per man, which we just figured out before. 5 or 6 kills, so 3 times 11. They're going to roll 33 dice with 5s and 6s killing. 33 dice. So let's do it this way. Let's do 8 times 4 is 33, right? 32. So let's do this. This is 8 dice, so let's do 1. No kill. All right. Let's do this now 4 times. 2 kills. 2 more. 4 more. And 1 more time. 1, 2, 3 more. That's 11. So actually, since they lost 7 plus 11 is actually all of them except for the Goblin King. So there's also our hero here who is attacking as 4 heavy horse plus 1. So he's got 3 dice. He's got 12 dice, 5 or 6 kills. If he scores 1 kill, he kills the Goblin King. So again, 12 dice. I'm going to do 6 twice. All he needs is a 5 or a 6. No. Yes. Okay. The Goblin King and all of their men have been wiped out. Not run off the board, but wiped out. That's definitely going to cause the goblins. I mean, you know, these goblins up here probably don't really know what's going on. Maybe they do. We'll deal with that in a second, but that's the end of that turn. So at this point, I'm going to roll a morale check on these goblins. The overall army has lost, I mean, at least through leaving, a decent chunk of their number, and they just lost their leader. So I'm going to roll a check. They are heavy foot. I'm going to roll 2d6 on a roll of less than 7. They're basically going to retreat. I think they're far enough away that they can run off the board without, well, these are horses. They could probably catch them if they really want to, but let's just roll and see what happens. 6. They retreat. So they're going to be routed. They're going to run off the board. They are basically, you know, in fear, okay? And this group, our group of heroes, if you will, is going to reform here and figure out what exactly they want to do. The goblins are now disorganized, and we will need to figure out whether or not they're going to try to bring in another Goblin King, let's say, to kind of come after these guys, or if that's the end of it. Now, in the end, they got the Goblin King plus the elite warriors. They got 8, 33, so 3. It's funny because a lot of chainmail and a lot of this stuff, it comes down to people retreating. They've got 33 plus 15 is 48, plus 3 is 51, plus 22 is 73. 73, that's, no, hold on, let me do it again. They've got 30, 66, 70, 80, 81. So of the goblins, the regular goblins, they have slain 81 of them. They also took out the 18 elite goblins, so, and also the Goblin King. So they've taken out about, like, you know, roughly a quarter of their entire forces. Whether or not the goblins will be able to reunite and form some kind of a front, or if they'll break into multiple splinters, we'll figure that out. I think, let's figure it out now. So I think it's unlikely we're going to use an oracle. Okay? I think it's unlikely that they're going to all just get back together under one leader. So I'm going to roll this. If the white die comes up higher than both of the black dice, then they're all going to form back up as a single unit. I'm going to make a new Goblin King basically out of this group. Somebody's going to basically raise up that level. We'll roll how many of them become elite because they're battle tested or whatever you want to call it. And then they're going to come after this group while they're recovering. If either one of the two black dice is higher, what we're going to do is we're going to break it up into multiple goblin factions, and then we're going to figure those out, and we'll deal with that another time. So here we go. No. They retreat into the wind. There's going to be, let's say, a D6 factions that form out of here. 2. They're going to break into 2 groups of goblins. Each one will form their own unit, let's say. Because of that, are they going to fight amongst themselves? 2 white dice this time. Yes. Okay. The next thing we see here might be a battle of 2 separate goblin groups for who takes control of these goblin lands. But as it stands, the fortune that the goblins might have, I believe it's a 1d6 times the number of goblins. 6. So 6 times 306, whatever many goblins there were in gold, is taken from their lair. The unit of the humans take the heads and such, and they're going to take their bounty and bring it back to civilization. And now, out in the wilderness, two groups of goblins will battle it out to see who takes over this lair in this area. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoy this content and the other content I make, please do check the description below. You can find a link to my Patreon where you can support me there. Also, there's a link to my Discord. Jump over there, join the conversation. I'll talk to you soon.